His eyes didn't land on me. They slid just past, like he was tracking something over my shoulder instead of me. He came the day after the second break-in. First night had been some guy rattling my back door. Second night, someone actually got the lock to give a little and left a smear on the latch like he had cut his hand. Cops did a drive-by, told me to stay somewhere else. I had no one close, so my brother said he'd call a guardian thing a friend of his used once, some security guy who sits in your place a few nights while stuff cools down. I was exhausted. I said fine. The man who arrived knew my name without asking. He knew where my spare key was. He knew my brother's number. He was calm in a way that made you breathe slower. He took off his boots on the mat without being told. "I'm Mark," he said, but it sounded like he'd said it a lot of ways for a lot of people. He walked my place like he'd been there before, checking windows and deadbolts with a cloth so he wouldn't leave prints. He put a single sheet of printer paper on my fridge with tape. Rules. He wrote them in thick block letters with a Sharpie. No mirrors after dark. Do not answer the door. Keep blinds shut. All of them. Phone on silent after 9. Talk to me first. Always. I laughed at the mirror thing. He didn't. Reflections give aim, he said. People get weird ideas. Seen it too many times. His eyes didn't laugh either. When I made eye contact, his pupils felt wrong. I know that sounds dumb, but that's what I thought. They were too big for the kitchen light we were in. He kept his face pointed at me, but his gaze tracked like it was on rails set a little off. I told myself it was a lazy eye or a contact lens problem. He was the first adult in 2 days who sounded steady. I let it go. He asked for Wi-Fi and turned it off at the router. If he's been checking your place, he might have pinged your network. We're dark at night. He took my phone and put an app on it that he said was a secure messenger. He texted it from his phone to show me it worked. The name came up as Mark Guardian because he said it that way. He smiled. It made his cheeks move, but not his eyes. He taped a towel over my bathroom mirror at dusk. He took the decorative one off the hallway wall and leaned it face down behind the couch. He checked my living room window, then closed the blinds and pushed the couch against that wall. He was efficient. He smelled like a cold room and something sharp. When he cleaned his hands at the sink after moving stuff, it smelled like bleach. I tried to make small talk. He knew my ex's name without me telling him. He knew where my spare dentist floss was because he opened the wrong cabinet and then said, "Sorry, wrong one," without looking like he was sorry. He said he knew the case notes. Later I'd ask which case. That night I let him put me in my bedroom and sit in a chair in the hall like we were in a movie. Around 11 there was tapping at my front door. Light. A test. He held up a finger. We froze and waited. I heard breathing get close on the other side of my bedroom door. Just one long exhale through the old keyhole. I was about to ask if he heard it when he tapped the door twice with his nail, like answering the first tapping. It got quiet. He mouthed, "Ignore." Next morning, he posted a revised rules sheet. He had scratched out "after dark" on the mirror line. Now it said, "No mirrors." Period. In the corner he had added, "No photos." I frowned at that one. People can scrape face data off casual pics, he said. Don't give any more of you away than you have. He opened the blinds a crack to check the street. Sun hit his face. His pupils didn't change, not even a little. He blinked a few times like the light hurt, but the black stayed wide. I squinted across the room. "Eye condition," he said. "Night work messes with them." He shut the slat with 2 fingers pressed together like he didn't want to touch my window. He cleaned the area near the front doorknob with a rag until the paint looked worn. I told him there was a smear there from the guy trying the lock. He said, rust, and rubbed harder. The rag stank of bleach. Under it there was that copper smell you only notice if you've had a cut in your mouth before. I broke the no photos rule right away. I didn't even think about it as a rule. It was habit. I leaned my phone up against a salt shaker and set a 3-second timer to take a dumb selfie with him in the kitchen behind me. He heard the shutter sound and turned, too late to stop it. In the photo, I was mid-laugh with my mouth open. He was turned toward the camera with his face pointed right, but his eyes in the picture were off to the left, not at me, not at the lens. In the next one, because I hit burst without knowing, his eyes were still in that same spot while his head had moved. It didn't line up. He held out his hand. I tried to say it was nothing. He took the phone like a dad would take a BB gun, not angry, just firm. He scrolled, his thumb slow and careful. He deleted the burst and handed it back. "New rule," he said, and took the Sharpie. He added it to the sheet and underlined it. No photos. Ever. I tried to call my sister when he went to take a shower. 3 bars. The call connected and then cut to a flat hiss, then dead. I tried again. Straight to voicemail. I texted her. The message hung, little blue sending bar never finished. Then his number popped up. Mark, Guardian. Phone stays quiet, unless there's a reason. Don't make noise in the stream. What stream? I asked when he came back, water still on his hair. He dried his hands. You want me here or not? His voice didn't get loud, but it got hard. You hired me because things got weird. Let me do weird the way it works. I didn't hire you, I said. My brother. I talked to him, he said. He trusts me. You can too. At night, the breathing through the keyhole happened again. Longer. Closer. The third time my finger hovered by the lock, stupid brain wanting to open. His shadow moved under the door seam. He put his mouth near the keyhole and breathed back, slow. The other breathing matched him. They exhaled together, like they were practicing. I buried my face in my pillow and counted until my heartbeat slowed. The next day I went looking for something in my phone and found a voicemail I hadn't seen. It was from a number I didn't know. Time stamped an hour before he showed up. Ms. Lowe, this is Sergeant Diaz, following up on your call. We're sorry to say the home check won't happen tonight. Officer Ruiz was assigned to you, and he passed away this morning. We'll reschedule next week. In the meantime, do not let unknown persons into your home. Call dispatch if anyone arrives claiming to be with us. It sat in my voicemail like a trap. I replayed it. Same voice. Same words. I went lightheaded. I took my phone into the bathroom and shut the door and sat on the tub edge like my knees were broken. The towel over the mirror had slipped on one corner and let a triangle of glass show. I could see my eyes in it, and my skin looked wrong in that sliver. I reached up and moved to push the towel back and saw something else. In that little triangle of mirror, my face was there. The door behind me was there. The angle should have shown the empty hall. Instead, one of his eyes was in the mirror like he was leaning into the doorway. Only when I turned my head, the eye in the glass lagged, then swung too far, then stopped on a point that wasn't me. I did a little test without thinking. I blinked twice. In the triangle, my reflection blinked with me. But his eye blinked half a beat after, like it had heard the idea but not the timing. He knocked on the bathroom door right then. Everything okay? I pulled the towel straight. Yep. He posted a new sheet after lunch. He took down the first and replaced it with one that had more bullet points and more underlines. No mirrors, Cover all glass. Do not answer the door or talk through it. Keep blinds sealed. Tape if needed. Phone stays on the table at night. No calls out after 8. Use me. No lights on after sundown. Flashlight only. Do not stand in front of windows. Do not look at me through glass. That last one was so specific I laughed out loud, but it came out shaky. You wrote, "Do not look at me through glass. Why would I do that?" He shrugged. People make mistakes that get them hurt. He pointed at the couch. You sit there after dark. I sit here. You go to bed when I say. We can get you through a week. You'll forget you were scared. He started to lock my bedroom door from the outside at night with one of those cheap hotel bar things he screwed into my wall without asking. He said it was for my comfort. So you know nobody's coming through while you sleep. When I woke up the next morning, there were bleach streaks on the wood around the bottom of my door, like someone had cleaned there on their knees. The smell made my eyes water. Something spill? I asked. Just keeping clean, he said. He smiled again without his eyes. Bleach covers a lot. I tried 911 that afternoon while he was wiping fingerprints off the back window. It rang once, then a recorded message said, "All circuits are busy," and cut. I called again. The call connected and I heard myself. Not an echo. Me, saying hello, repeating back a half-second behind, like somebody was playing the line back in real time. I hung up. I tried my sister again. Her name switched to restriction on its own when I tapped it. I backed out. I took a picture of the contact list to send her later and remembered. No photos. I stood at the sink and stared at the towel covering the mirror. That triangular corner was still loose. I peeled it back an inch and looked at my pupils in the daylight. They shrank. Fine. Normal. I leaned to one side and the hall past the bathroom came into frame. He walked by. In the mirror, he didn't. The space stayed empty for a heartbeat, and then he slid through like he'd stepped into the wrong layer and had to find his spot. He caught me with the towel lifted. He didn't yell. He didn't grab. He just stepped in, took the towel from me, and taped it down with blue painter's tape all around. Neat edges. Rules exist because they keep you breathing, he said. Who are you? I said. My voice sounded thin. I'm the person here, he said. The other person isn't. That makes me the one who keeps you breathing. He leaned his hands on the sink like a coach explaining why we run drills. Tonight, you're going to want to check the door. He's going to tap again. You're going to want to answer. I'm telling you now, you won't. That night, the tapping started earlier. 2 taps, then 3, then a slow scratch. It stopped. Footsteps pattered away, came back, stopped right at my bedroom. The breathing filled the keyhole again. I put my palm on the wood. On the other side, I felt pressure like someone put their hand up too, mirroring me. I yanked mine back. He was sitting in the hall chair. He didn't move or ask if I was okay. It went on like that for 3 nights. More rules. More tape. A note on the fridge in his block Sharpie that said, "Do not tell anyone about the rules." I took a photo of that note when he went downstairs to get my mail. My hands shook. In the photo, the letters looked like they were written by my dad. They weren't. My dad's been dead 10 years. I listened to the voicemail again, the one about the dead officer. I put the phone under my pillow. I watched shadows move under my door. I counted steps. He paced the same number each hour and then paused at my knob, like he was timing my breath. I thought about how scared I'd been before he came and how now it was a different kind of scared. and how that difference meant something. I planned a stupid plan because I didn't have a better one. He hated light. He hated reflections. He wanted me quiet and in the dark, like something that looks through him preferred it that way. I found my old makeup compact in the bottom of a drawer and didn't tell him. It was one of those cheap ones with a little round mirror. I tested it under the blanket with my phone. I liked the feeling of doing something he had told me not to do. At dusk, I accidentally bumped the living room lamp so the shade hung crooked. I pretended to fix it and actually angled it so the bulb pointed straight across the room at the hallway door. I taped the compact mirror to the edge of my bookshelf at eye level with the hinge side of my bedroom door. I plugged my lamp into a power strip I could tow with my foot. I turned my phone's flash to full and set it on a 3-second timer. I set it on the dresser, pointed at the door. Stupid. But I didn't know how else to find out what I already believed. I waited until 3 a.m. when the building was dead and the tapping usually came. I sent him a text from the bed. Stomach hurts. He didn't answer the text, but I heard the hall chair creak. His feet came to my door. The little bar slider made that quick metal click as he lifted it. He never lifted it at night. My pulse kicked so hard I thought he'd hear it, but by then I didn't care what he heard. I moved to the side of the door with the compact mirror taped there. I had one hand on the power strip, toes under the switch. My other hand held the edge of the mirror in place. The door cracked open. He didn't push it wide. Just enough to put his head in the gap and look, the way he always looked. Not straight at me, but past me, that wrong angle. "Don't flip the switch," he said, like he could feel my heel ready. His voice was tired. "We can do this the easy way." "You don't work for anyone," I said. "They left a message. The guy who was supposed to come is dead." He paused. "I didn't say I worked for them." "Who do you work for?" He leaned in more. His face was an inch from the mirror at the crack. The smell off him was old, cold, bleach under it. His eyes did that sliding thing past me to somewhere else in the room that wasn't there. I hit the power. The lamp blew full into the compact and threw a beam into his face. My phone flash popped. For a second, everything was white and metallic. He didn't flinch like a normal person. His pupils didn't slam shut. They stayed wide and black and took the light in like drains. The light lit the rest of his face too flat, and in the little circle of the compact mirror, his reflection lagged and then caught up wrong, like a mouth trying to form a word it didn't have. In the glass, he was looking at the spot where I had been standing when the door opened, not the place I was now, his gaze stuck on a version of the room a second behind. For a long, thin beat, the him in the mirror smiled. The him in the doorway didn't. He pushed the door hard. The mirror came off with the tape and fell. He came into the room in 2 jerky steps and then stopped because the lamp was hot on his face and because I had both hands on the blind cord and yanked it so the plastic jamb popped and the blinds flew up. The streetlight from outside poured in. He lifted his hands like he could catch the light and push it back. His eyes didn't change. He didn't turn away. He just stood there and said, quietly, like he was disappointed, "Don't do that. They won't be able to see you." "Who?" My throat hurt because I was yelling and whispering at the same time. "The ones I work for. The ones that needed you contained." He sounded sad. He sounded tired. "You made too much noise. Too random. They like you when you're simple. In the dark, you're simple. You should let me keep you that way." "No," I said, and the word felt like it belonged to me again. I kicked the power strip off so he had that second where everything changed. I ran past him, shoulder into his ribs. He was solid and colder than I expected. He caught a piece of my shirt, but I slipped it. I got the bedroom door open and went for the living room. He said my name like an instruction. and that made me move faster. I pulled every blind in the apartment up as I passed. I hit every lamp. He didn't chase me into the living room. He stood at the hallway edge, right where the light from the street broke off. The bleach smell came up strong, like it had been waiting. He watched my shadow on the wall. Not me, my shadow. "Stop," he said. "Don't open the front door." "Don't?" I opened the front door. I didn't answer it. I opened it. The hallway lights outside were ugly and bright and hummed like insects. I reached for the red fire alarm pole by the stairwell and yanked it down. The siren took a breath and screamed. He stepped back a pace. Not far, just like he didn't like the noise pushing into the dark behind him. Apartment doors popped open up and down the hall. Sleepy faces. A guy in shorts. Old Mrs. Chang from 3B with her cat under her arm. I didn't look back at him again. I looked at other people. I put my feet into the bright and didn't stop moving until I was at Mrs. Chang's side. "Someone broke into my place," I said, and my voice broke the right way. Not nice, not calm. "He's in there. Don't let him shut the door." Neighbors like mine, the ones who watch each other's mail and water plants for weekends, are slow at first, but they move when they get a job. The guy in shorts grabbed the knob on my door. Mrs. Chang's cat hissed. I heard my landlord's feet on the stairs. Then the fire truck noise was on the block, big and impossible to ignore, which is all I wanted. He didn't come into the hall. He stood in my living room with the blinds up and the rules on the fridge behind him, each sheet neat and underlined. The light hit him flat. He had his hands at his sides. His eyes didn't change. He watched my shadow on the door as if that was the only part of me he could keep. He looked small and wrong in full light, like a cutout taped in the wrong place. I didn't wait to see what he did next. I left. I walked down the stairs into the cold with no shoes, and the concrete bit my feet, and it was the best feeling I had that whole week. I told the firefighter everything, except the parts that would make them write it off as stress. I showed them the voicemail. I showed them the rules. The bleach smell hit them when they crossed my threshold. They wrinkled their noses the way people do when they think of hospitals. I stayed at my brother's place after that. We changed the locks at mine. I got real cops to file a report that said someone impersonated someone else and came into my house and moved my furniture. I didn't explain the eye thing. They wouldn't have understood, or they would have understood too much. Doesn't matter which. It took me a few nights to sleep. I kept going to the bathroom and looking at my eyes in the mirror, turning the light on and off, watching my pupils do what they've always done. Sometimes I caught my reflection lag a hair and I'd stop breathing, and then I'd laugh out loud because sometimes you twitch. Sometimes you don't know which part of you moved first. That's normal. I put a sheet of paper on my fridge at my brother's. It's dumb. It says, "Trust what you notice the first time. If someone brings rules in a Sharpie, ask who they are twice. If it smells like bleach and you didn't clean, that's a story you don't know yet. If the light makes them patient, that's fine. If the dark makes them happy, leave." A month later, a postcard came to my place with no return address. The front was a picture of a lake. The back said, "We almost got you quiet." It wasn't his handwriting. It looked like my dad's again. I threw it away and then took it out of the trash and burned it in an ashtray with a match on the stove. It was a dumb little fire that set off the smoke alarm, and I stood there waving a towel at it, breathing too fast, laughing like a maniac. I tell people now when they ask if it got better that I'm fine. It's true. I'm fine. I keep my blinds how I want. I take pictures of my cat. I answer my door after I look, and I look as long as I want. The rules on my fridge are mine. I don't need someone else's to keep me breathing. And when I catch a shadow move wrong in a window at night, or hear a small polite tap on a door that isn't mine, I turn on a light before I think too much. Sometimes, that's all it is. Sometimes it isn't. Either way, I flip the switch. I do it fast. I do it without asking. I don't wait for someone to tell me I can. Oh, you liked that? Then you better hit like. Subscribe too. Don't make me remind you next time. That's how this works. You watch, you react, and the stories keep coming. Now go. The next one's waiting. See you in the next one.